Alright, let's start with some international news first, where 235 worshippers were massacred and hundreds left injured in an attack on a mosque in the restive Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. The terrorists detonated bombs and then showered gunfire on the worshippers during the Friday prayers in Sinai's Al-Rawda Mosque. Striking at a mosque seems a change in the tactics that have been employed by the militants who have struck this mosque in Sinai, who earlier had usually attacked troops, police stations and Christian churches. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has held an emergency meet with security officials in the wake of the attacks and has vowed a brutal response against these terrorists. 3 days of mourning has also been declared in the country, a day after 235 worshippers were massacred in an attack inside of a mosque in the restive Sinai Peninsula. Egyptian Air Force has claimed that it has destroyed the vehicles and the ammunition stocks that were used by the terrorists while carrying out the attack. World leaders have condemned the ghastly attack. US President Donald Trump in a tweet has described the attack as horrible and cowardly. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj have also condemned the attack and have expressed condolences. The United States has expressed deep concern that the Lashkar-e-Taiba leader Hafiz Saeed has been released from house arrest in Pakistan. The United States has asked the Pakistani government to make sure that he's rearrested and charged for his crimes. Panic erupted amongst the Christmas shoppers on London's Oxford Street on Friday evening after reports of gunshots being fired at a tube station. Armed police officers were rushed to the site to respond to what the London police initially had called an incident, but later clarified that they found no evidence of any shooting having taken place inside the tube station. Meanwhile, the police officers believe that an altercation between two men on the platform in the tube station may have led to the false terror alert, panic and rumours of gunshots. The police are now likely to question the two people who have been caught in the CCTV images, and the police have also appealed to the general public for any information about the incident. Both the Oxford Circus and the nearby Bond Street tube stations were later reopened for commuters. Russia has slammed the United States, saying that it is opposed to the militarization of Asia under the pretext of countering North Korea. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that Moscow is concerned by the US plans to deploy part of its global missile defense system in the region. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has described Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as the new Hitler of the Middle East. In an interview to a US newspaper, Saudi Crown Prince said, and I quote, that we have learned from Europe that appeasement does not work. We don't want the new Hitler in Iran to repeat what happened in Europe in the Middle East. Cuba is marking the first anniversary of the death of the revolutionary leader Fidel Castro with a week of vigils nationwide. Fidel, a towering figure of the 20th century who built a communist-run state on the doorstep of the United States and defied relentless US efforts to topple him, died at the age of 90 on the 25th of November last year. The Cold War icon had already been largely out of the public view for around a decade, however, having ceded the presidency to his younger brother Raul Castro in 2008 due to his ill health, and many Cubans say that his death has changed little on the island. The Libyan Coast Guard has rescued 267 migrants from the Mediterranean on Friday after their boats got into trouble. The migrants were travelling on two boats and were rescued by the Coast Guard 30 miles off the coast of Tripoli. As many as 1,600 migrants were rescued from nearly 20 vessels in the central Mediterranean in just the last 2 days. A German non-governmental organization has rescued 254 people in the central Mediterranean. Among those rescued included a baby that was born on board the small boat that they were traveling in. The migrants were trying to reach Europe after having spent several months in Libyan camps. Syrians, Afghanis, Pakistanis, Libyans, Eritreans and Nigerians were the nationalities that were represented on board. Demonstrators took to the streets of Paris to urge the global community to take action against slavery in Libya after footage appearing to show African migrants being sold as slaves in Libya has sparked an international outcry. The many protesters have decried France's role in the revolt in Libya after the then French President Nicolas Sarkozy had pushed for military strikes in 2011. The Libyan government is investigating reports of African migrants being sold as slaves and has promised to bring the perpetrators to justice. A tiger was shot dead in the western area of Paris after escaping from a circus. The tiger was shot by the circus staff. A tram line had been closed while the animal was at large. British Prime Minister Theresa May has assured that Brexit talks were making progress. She, however, has claimed that the outstanding issues remained on the divorce settlement in the border with EU member Ireland. The European Union has handed May a deadline of 10 days to improve her Brexit deal offer or face failure in persuading the EU leaders to open trade talks with Britain at the December summit. The Duke of Cambridge, Prince William and Duchess Kate Middleton attended the Royal Variety performance in London on Friday. The event was organised in aid of the Royal Variety charity, of which the Queen is the patron. The money that was raised from the show helps hundreds of entertainers in the United Kingdom who need help and assistance as a result of old age, ill health and hard times. An agreement has been reached among the Syrian opposition parties to send a united delegation to attend the Geneva peace talks. The announcement came on the second day of the expanded Syrian opposition meeting in Riyadh, where around 140 opposition figures gathered to unify position ahead of the peace talks backed by the United Nations to end the country's 6-year civil war. But the opposition parties participating in the meeting would establish a high negotiation committee soon and send a united delegation consisting of 50 members selected from parties to attend the Geneva peace talks. The talks are expected to begin on the 28th of November. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that the progress had been made on confidence-building measures related to a territorial dispute between Moscow and Tokyo. The Japanese Foreign Minister, who is in Moscow for bilateral talks, has said that the measures will focus on easing access for the Japanese visitors to the disputed islands in the Pacific and also boosting the economic cooperation in the islands. As Emerson Mnangagwa became the interim president of Zimbabwe, people have expressed high hopes for a better future under his regime. Mnangagwa, during his speech, emphasized on the development of economy and solving the problems of unemployment, which will be the top priorities of the new government. He has also promised to tackle foreign exchange issues, corruption, cash shortages and create a better investment environment in the country. Well, let's now take a look at some national news, where security has been tightened in India's southern Hyderabad city ahead of the visit of US President Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka Trump. Trump will be attending an entrepreneurship conference. Ivanka Trump will be accompanied by her husband Jared Kushner, who will also be visiting India on the 28th of November and will address the inaugural session of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. The three-day event, started in 2010 by the former US President Barack Obama, is being co-hosted by India and the United States. A Maoist couple have surrendered before the police in Malkanjgiri in Odisha. The couple hailed from Chhattisgarh and carried a reward of about 2 lakh Indian rupees in their heads. They belong to a senior cadre and their surrender is being seen as a major blow to the Maoists in the neighbouring areas. The couple have been part of the Maoist organisation since 2008. The Indian Army, along with a non-governmental organisation, provided artificial limbs to about 83 amputated people in northern Jammu and Kashmir state to help overcome their disability. 3 days awareness camp was held in Poonch district and victims from about 43 villages had come for treatment. A white tiger, one of the most popular and loved inmate of the Lucknow Zoological Gardens, died on Friday. The 17-year-old white tiger by the name Aryan was going through severe health issues for almost a month. The thrilling roars of the white tiger were one of the prime attractions of the Lucknow Zoo. The tiger was brought to the Lucknow Zoo way back in 2001. Hundreds of Gorkhas, or the ethnic Nepalis, held a march in the heart of the Indian capital, New Delhi, to support the creation of a separate state of Gorkhaland. The protest was held by the regional Gorkhaland Sanyukta Sangharsh Samiti group. The protesters marched with "We Want Gorkhaland" placards and expressed their support for the cause.